What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Okay, last time we read, what did we read? We read, I don't know what we read. We read, oh yeah, The Fall of Man and Cain and Abel. Two very trippy stories. And today, I actually can't wait till today. Today I'm reading from Adam to Noah and the Great Flood, because I read the Great Flood when I was the last time I read it, I was probably in Sunday school. So we're talking like 30 years ago. So it'll be nice to look at it for new fresh eyes and see if I can learn anything more trippy, like in the last reading I did, where I learned that God made Adam and Eve clothes which were skin, as in human skin, I think, meaning that this was an unnatural form, if I read that correctly. I don't know. We'll keep reading and find out. Let's jump into it. Okay, we are still reading from Genesis 1, Genesis 5, and we're going to be reading from Adam to Noah and the flood. And I've been looking forward to this one. Again, I really haven't read the Bible that much in terms of in its entirety. But I do remember hearing about this story in Sunday school, and I have very loose memories of it. So I'm looking forward to reading it and seeing if we can break some more stuff down. So from Adam to Noah. This is the written account of Adam's line. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. Okay. He created them male and female and blessed them. And when they were created, he called them man. Okay, mankind. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own images. He named him Seth. What? Man is made in the image of God. But Adam's son is made in the image of Adam. Now, if you watch my previous video, I discovered that God, or was it the Lord God, I don't know the difference, made Adam and Eve clothing out of skin, which I think might mean human skin, meaning that their natural form was probably more of a spiritual form, and he clothed them in skin, which is why I think we ended up losing our connection with God. So I'm wondering if Adam and Eve were initially made in the same spiritual image as God, maybe. And then once he clothed them, now they're in his image. Now they're in our image, being our image with skin on. I might be thinking too deeply about that, but that's where I'm going with that. So when Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image, and he named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Okay. Altogether, Adam lived 930 years and then he died. I did not know that. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. And after he became the father of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Seth lived 912 years and then he died. I had no idea people lived this old in the Bible. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. And after he became the father of Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived 905 years and then he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Malaliel. I'm sorry, guys, I don't know how to pronounce these names. And after he became the father of Mahaliel, Kenan lived 840 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Kenan lived 910 years and then he died. When Mahaliel had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared. And after he became the father of Jared, Malaliel, lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. Okay, guys, like I said in my previous video, I have a small brain. I've already lost the bloodline here. Altogether, Mahaliel lived 895 years and then he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. Is that another Enoch? And after he became the father of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Jared lived 962 years and then he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. And after he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. He walked with God. Altogether, Enoch lived 365 years. Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. When Methuselah had, okay, hopefully we come back to this part. This is what I mean about the Bible. Like, it just throws something out there and then just leaves it alone. Enoch walked with God, and then he was no more because God took him away. Okay. We'll have to add Enoch to the list of research. Okay. So I've got, okay. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. And after he became the father of Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Methuselah had lived 969 years and then he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he had a son. He named his son Noah. Okay, so Noah is the son of Lamech. And said, he will comfort us in the labor and painful toil of our hands caused by the ground the Lord has cursed. After Noah was born, Lamech lived 595 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Lamech lived 777 years, and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Shepeth. Shepeth? I don't know. Okay, so Noah has 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Peth. I've heard those names before. The flood. When men began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. So here we go. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. I truly believe it's the sons of God that have had some hand in the production of mankind. And I know from previous things I've read that the sons of God tend not to be very good human beings. And I tend to think it is these sons of God that are presenting themselves as God on the earth. Hence why, unfortunately, so much evil takes place. And I've read this in other texts, like the Lost Book of Enki and things like that. So maybe that's getting into my mind when I'm trying to read the Bible here, but that's interesting. So the sons of God saw the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. I wonder what these sons of God look like. Then the Lord said, again, I don't know if God, and Lord are all the same people, or individuals, whatever. Let me know. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years. Okay. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old and the men of renown. Now, I've heard of the Nephilim, I don't know how you say them, but more in context with, I guess the Anunnaki I've heard about. And again, because I do know that they're mentioned in the Bible, but I know that this is the only bit that they're mentioned in. It's kind of like God walking with Enoch and the skin bit where God makes skin for clothing for Adam and Eve. And then we've got here, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were heroes of the old and men of renown. I feel like this needs a lot more explanation, guys, for those. Another time. Okay, we'll keep going. The Lord saw how great man's wickedness on the earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil all the time. Now, this is what I don't understand. I do understand that God has imprinted his essence or his spirit on mankind. So where does mankind's inclination for evil or vicious behavior come from, if not from God? I don't understand that. If you know, let me know. Help me to understand, okay? The inclination and the thoughts of his heart were evil all the time. I mean, okay, the Lord was grieved. Is the Lord the same as God? I don't know. Okay, the Lord was grieved that he had made man on earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, I will wipe mankind, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, men and animals and creatures that move along the ground and the birds of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Now, I've yet to hear anything that animals have done why they deserve to be wiped off the face of the earth. And I really haven't heard too much about what mankind has done to be wiped off the face of the earth, but I appreciate this is a summary of a long period of time probably. But it just seems like a bit of an intense reaction. It's almost like a bipolar reaction. It's like one thing, one spectrum to the other spectrum. Kicking Adam and Eve out of the garden for eating fruit that they were told not to eat. Although you put the tree in the garden in the first place as an act of temptation, if you ask me. But then now we're going to wipe everybody off the face of the earth for bad behavior, rather than, essentially, I guess the God that I believe in could just probably snip his fingers and be like Thanos and just get rid of everybody. There's no need to drown everybody, because I know there's a big drowning coming on here. So here we go. This is the account of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. I think maybe walking God just means that somebody who abides by the rules of God, maybe. I don't know if that's actually someone who physically sees and hangs out with God. I think it may be just someone who follows God's teachings, maybe. Although I haven't heard too many teachings here. I don't know. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Shepheth. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce these names. Now, the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. We're talking about God here and not Lord. And I truly don't think these individuals are the same individuals. God saw how corrupt the earth had become for all of the people on earth and had corrupted their ways. For all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all the people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof of it and finish the ark within 18 inches of the top. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I am going to bring flood waters on the earth and destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. I mean, why? But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark. You and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. The Lord then said to Noah, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 2 of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for the 40 days and 40 nights. I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Why? And all this is quite elaborate. Like, the powerful God could probably just do this without having Noah build a boat. Okay, whatever. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his son's wife entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds, and of all creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark, as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days, the flood waters came to the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were open, and rain fell on the earth for 40 days and for 40 nights. On that very day, Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Shepheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have had the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 20 feet. Every living thing that moved on the earth perished: birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarmed over the earth, and mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. I don't know why I like this saying so much, the breath of life in the nostrils. I have read a story where God, I think I mentioned this before, sees essentially what are the sons of God trying to make mankind, and they can't get mankind to get up and breathe, and God actually comes through and breathes the essence of life into his spirit, into the nostrils of man. So it's interesting they said the breath of life is in the nostrils. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out, men and animals and the creatures that move along the ground, and the birds of the air were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. Now springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the water had gone down, and on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, which I think is modern day Turkey. I'm not too sure. I really don't know. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. After 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven. I always thought it was a dove he sent out. I didn't know it was a raven. He sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove, it is a dove, to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find no place to set its feet, because there was water over all the surface of the earth. So it returned to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. By the first day of the first month of Noah's 601st day, the water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. Okay, I get sending the bird out and stuff, but really, could God just not have told him the land's dry and you can come out now? I'm just saying. Then God said to Noah, come out of the ark. Okay, now he says it. You and your wife and your sons are their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, and the birds and the animals of all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on earth and be fruitful and increase in number upon it. So Noah came out together with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives, all the animals and all the creatures that move along the ground, and all the birds, everything that moves on the earth, came out of the ark, one kind after another. And then Noah built an altar to the Lord. Okay, so we've gone from God to Lord again. And Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, never again will I curse the ground because of man, even though every inclination of his heart is evil from childhood, and never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. I really don't like this idea of the burnt offerings, of actually burning animals. For what? Does God actually eat these animals? You just take an animal and kill it and burn it for the purpose of what? It's not like Noah's made a sacrifice of himself, of his own here. He's burning animals and offering them to God. I mean, if somebody can explain to me what that means, that would be great. But it just seems like quite an evil act to do, which is exactly the things that they were punished for in the first place, right? But somehow that is pleasing to God. I don't understand that. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. Well, that's good to know. And on that note, we're going to leave that there, because that was actually far longer than I intended it to be. And I'll see you in the next one.